Hello everybody. Let's talk today about using investments to fuel your business. Since I started in this business, I'm a big proponent of using your best and smartest investments or your most successful investments to fuel growth in other areas of your card collecting, your card investing, and your business growth. So when I first started this whole thing during COVID and before COVID, one of the things that I did was I had just bought into some sealed Pokemon cards. I bought some ETBs, some booster boxes. I had just gotten kind of excited about getting back in. I saw how gorgeous the artwork was and I wanted to rip some packs. And then I realized I wanted to get back into card collecting in general and buy baseball and football, and I got sucked into the whole thing. I started researching some of the best ways to make money in the hobby, just like anybody does, because your ultimate goal is to make money so you can buy more. And so where I started was what does investment look like in sports cards and in Pokemon cards? And I realized that, well, it's all the same things it's always been. With sports cards, you're investing in a player, hoping that that player becomes the next Babe Ruth or the next Shohei Ohtani or whoever, and then you can flip that card for more money than you paid, right? That's a simple investment. Whether that's short-term or long-term, it doesn't matter. Pokemon's the same way. The value of Pokemon cards continues to increase as time goes by. You buy a card or a sealed box, and then you then sell it for more later. What I think I didn't realize was how big it was, how crazy some of this would get. And over that first 6 months to a year, I kind of began to realize that there was millions and millions of dollars exchanging hands at these card shows and between people online and TCG Player and eBay. And it wasn't just rich people selling these cards. It was people that had investments in large expensive cards that they didn't pay a ton of money for, that they've now flipped into something else. Or they ripped a one-of-one Patrick Mahomes that they paid $50 for the box or $100 for the box, and now they're flipping that card for 10 grand, and all of a sudden $10,000 has moved into the hobby because they're spending $10,000 on more product after they've sold this card, right? So I started researching what's the best way to move forward with investing. And I have found through all of my research and watching other content creators and researching the market that Pokemon sealed was the place to invest a lot of money. So what I did was I started putting some of my extra money every month into sealed product. I went to Target and Walmart and I bought ETBs and I bought 3-pack blisters and I bought just a bunch of cards and I didn't open them. And I stuck them on my shelf and I just left them there. I did the same with a Fusion Strike box here and there and a Brilliant Stars case that I ended up buying with a Christmas bonus. And I did a bunch of stuff in the 2021, 22, 23 years where I was like, I'm going to buy these cards and I'm not going to open them. I'm just going to let them sit on my shelf. And those investments turned into real life gains, real life capital. And what I decided was I really wanted to grow this sports card business that you see behind me. I wanted to grow all of my CJ Card Corner eBay store, and I wanted to start doing card shows. And what I really was passionate about was sports cards. And I liked talking to people about sports and selling sports. And Pokemon turned into more of a secondary thing that I just loved, but I'm not as excited about it and I don't talk about it as much. But this is where I live and die. I live and breathe. And I'm super passionate about baseball specifically. So I sold a ton of those Pokemon investments and I reinvested that into whatnot streams and singles and eBay listings that I could buy and resell, that I won an auction and thought the card was worth more, and then I resold it. And I just started kind of snowballing where I sold roughly, I think, $2,500 worth of my investable money that I'd spent over the course of a couple years. I reinvested that $2,500 into Pokemon and then sold that Pokemon for, I think in a lot of cases, double what I paid for it because the market was so hot and everything was going to the moon. I sold a lot of that and it's worth a lot more now. But at the time, I wasn't thinking about long term. I was thinking about taking that capital and reinvesting it. So what really worked for me is finding a way to invest in something I understood and was excited about, and then holding that until it appreciated to a point where I was like, there's money here. So then I sold those investments to power my business. And now my business is in essence powering itself. I've got so much inventory that the inventory sells at a decent rate, and I'm able to buy cards with that money, that stuff I sell, and the profit that I make on those cards to reinvest back into my inventory. And that gives me a ton of flexibility to take some of the extra money that I have every month to reinvest into Pokemon and continue snowballing that. And right now, I'm honestly considering selling my Sword and Shield investments, like all those boxes from early Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, to fuel my store even further and grow the business even larger while still maintaining a healthy investment portfolio on the Pokemon side. And I think that I just kind of wanted to talk today about some of the benefits of doing that I've had, and some of the negatives, right? So starting with the positives, my business has skyrocketed in the last 2 years. The growth I've had in my inventory and my investments, and those are stuff that continues to grow on the daily as I invest in more cards and more things to add to my store. I'm doing some PSA grading, which will also increase the value of some of those cards that I have. And it continues to go up because as I sell a card for more than I paid, that's more money that continues to be pumped back into the business, and it continues to go on an upward trajectory versus it staying stagnant, which it was doing with my investments. Now, the negatives sometimes can outweigh the positives, and I'll give you a really good example of that. I bought a Brilliant Stars case for $80 a box. And if you're a Pokemon fan here at the video, you understand that those boxes are extremely expensive now. I flipped those boxes at when those boxes hit $300 a box. So I was 2xing my money easy on those, and I sold them on eBay, so I had to pay fees and shipping. So I 2x'd my money on those boxes, and I came out way ahead. Which was real positive, right? I used that money to reinvest back into my store, and it was a really smart decision for me. But the negatives of that are that those Brilliant Stars boxes are 2 times that price now, and they're continuing to rise, and I would assume they're going to continue to go above and beyond that down the road, and they're worth double what I sold them for, and they're worth 5 times what I paid or more. The value of those cards and of those sealed boxes has increased so much, and with Pokemon it seems that there is no slowing down. The newer sets are continuing to ramp up excitement and ramp up, the difficulty to find those products. And I've talked about those. You can check out my other videos. I've talked about those a lot. But there is so much value in using your investment to fuel your business, but you have to be understanding that there's a chance you made the right investment to begin with, and that money is going to double, triple, or quadruple. So you have to decide what's more important. Is the business growth more important, or is the investment growth more important? And that's been a real struggle for me, and it continues to be every time I try to sell or decide to sell a sealed product. And a lot of people are fueling baseball card or football card investment to fuel their business. I know a couple of guys where they buy 100 copies of every new rookie that comes out in their base Prism, and then they have those graded. So obviously they're investing, $2,000 into grading fees, and ultimately flip them down the road. They're going to double and triple their money if they get PSA 10s, and they're going to probably, break even or be close to even if they get PSA 9s. And if it's a really hot rookie, they might 10 times their money. I know when Drake May got to the Super Bowl, I know they made literal bank on those Drake May PSA 10s that they sold. I mean, they made 10 times what they paid for grading and for the cards, because the cards they paid nothing for. They got them for super cheap because they were, again, base Prisms. And the ones they did where they did hollows, 20 times their money. So if you're talking purely about investing, you can do it in so many ways. For me, it worked with Pokemon and sports cards, right? So my Pokemon led to sports, but you can do the other way around. You can do sports cards that lead into Pokemon, or you can do sports cards that lead into sports cards. And there are so many options to use your investment to grow the business that you want to grow. And if you want to use your business to fuel your investments, that's also an option. You can do all of the above, but you have to pick the route that you want to take. And I think that there are so many positive ways to grow whichever side of the coin you believe in, whether that's your investing or your business, or if you have an investment business. There's so many wins here, like literal growth and how you maintain your business while also maintaining your investment portfolio. And it is complicated, it's difficult. Not all of us have immense capital to invest in the things we believe in. I would love to be investing in Pokémon right now. I think these Ascended Heroes sets and Phantasmal Flames are insane sets, and they would be so easy to make my money back and double my money on. But right now, with my financial situation, I can't afford to reinvest my business money into my investments because I need that money to continue to keep my business flowing instead of investing in something. And not to say that I haven't done any investing, because I've done some small investments, but I've hardly bought anything lately. And so like I regret some of that, but also I want to keep my business continuing to grow and flow and keep the inventory fresh and moving. And to do that, it makes my life more interesting because I'm constantly selling cards, I'm packing cards, I'm doing a lot of this interesting stuff that allows me to keep inventory in my building and moving. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about using your investment to fuel your business. I know I kind of went a little bit off script and a little bit off crazy because that's what I like to do. But I'd love to hear your comments. So please comment down below. Tell me what you're doing. Are you the type to use your investment to grow your business, or are you using your business to fuel your investments? Tell me all about it. Tell me what you're doing. I'd love to hear what you're into. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hung out with me for this 10 minutes or so and chilled out while I talked about investing and talked about reinvesting and talking about growing your business with your investments. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. So thanks for stopping by.